Well, hey, everybody, and welcome to a completely new thing we've never done before. I'm super excited today to do this. It's like a vision activation project for my friend Willow, who is to my, I think it's probably left on your screen right now. She just like moved her hand and then we got a ghost hand. That was pretty cool. She approached us after Self Reliance Festival, all motivated to go take on the world and bring her superpower to the world. And her superpower is that she spreads sunshine. And that may sound a little woo woo, but we're going to get into this today. It's not going to be, and it's our job to brainstorm with her on how she can take the thing she does best in the world, the gift she was given to give to the world, and turn it into something that also fulfills her financial desires and wishes and needs. So, which is good because otherwise you're stuck doing something to pay for your life and then you use your secret sauce other places. It's way better if you can do both at once. So, in order to do this, we thought let's get a mastermind group together. And so I'm joined by Toolman Tim. Toolman Tim, for
Hey.
the 4 people on the live stream who don't know who you are, like tell us the 45-second like elevator pitch. Who's Toolman Tim?
Sure, crazy Canuck who lives north of North Dakota, north of Montana. Run the workshop. I try to encourage other people to get out and grab life by the horns, do what they can, and make life the absolute best they can. Yeah, you can find me at the workshop on YouTube, and we have multiple entrepreneurial ventures in the fire, my wife and I, and we're in the process of building our empire out as we speak.
Awesome. Okay. I also have Kerry Brown on from Strong Roots Resources here to give us his thoughts. He has transitioned from, somebody said when I use the word transition, they think I'm talking about a different kind of transition, but he's transitioned from having a job to running his world. He does permaculture consults and has made a niche for himself as a wild edible plant identifier. And just yesterday, we were at the very tippy top of a hill that scared the crap out of me to drive up in a 4-wheeler. There was some pucker factor there, wasn't there, Kerry?
I tried not to show it.
Yeah, I was scared too. To identify if my sheep were eating poison hemlock, and all of us spent time identifying that. We're pretty sure they have been, but they're not dead yet, so that's good. But more than that, Kerry, tell us like who you are and how did you end up here tonight?
So I actually have been a recipient of an accelerator of sorts, not unlike what we're going to do tonight, and that was a big part of what got Strong Roots Resources kind of well underway, where I was mostly in an idea stage and launched successfully into the execution of everything you mentioned. So I'm gonna take what I've picked up in the last 3 or so years now and try to pay it forward with Willow.
Awesome. Okay, we also have one more fella who has transitioned from a job to running his own thing. And last I heard, he was so busy that he just barely made it on the live stream tonight because all of his jobs are coming to fruition at one time. That's Shawn Mills from Hack My Homestead. Shawn, tell us, who is this Shawn Mills fellow?
Well, hey, everybody. I'm Shawn Mills. I do solar designs and recently solar installations for some select clients. And as Nicole mentioned, I just turned this into a full-time job from a side gig on July 1. So I think some of the things that I've recently gone through, I can help maybe point out some potholes for Willow and some of the things that she's going to run into, being pulled in a lot of different directions and not knowing when to say no or how to say no or if to say no and things like that.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm Nicole Sauce from the Living Free in Tennessee podcast, and I have spent a lifetime as a facilitator helping people develop strategic plans. I took this skill from the business side and have been helping orient it on people for the last 6 or 7 years. And I did it to myself, which is why I now live on my homestead, working for myself, hawking coffee and doing events. And I think it's something that we can all do. A part of the thing that we have done with business clients that's now translated to people is something called a project accelerator, which this is what this is. That's what we called it in the business side. I just made up a new name for it. Vision activation. I don't know. I was feeling jiggy this morning having coffee in my very own kitchen and came up with that. So what we do here is we bring somebody on who has an idea or a project in process, something, and they share that with us. And then we start asking them questions and along the way, hopefully give guidance. And if there's something you can help the person with to jumpstart them from where they are here, like let's say they're like, I really need to figure out how to get customers. And in order to do that, I need an introduction to this person. And you happen to know this person, you can make a commitment to make that introduction so they don't have to spend the next 6 months trying to figure out how to get to that person. And it's not just the people here live on the show. Those of you in the comments, if you have questions, put the first word in all caps so I know you want me to ask Willow the question. And if you have a commitment, write commitment : I will do this. And then it's going to be up to you to follow up with us, follow up with me in email so I can connect you with Willow and make sure that we can connect those commitments. Okay, so now we're going to bring Willow on. Willow, the first question I'm going to ask you is tell us about yourself, which I know you're like, dang it, I knew she was going to do that to me. And, oh, what am I going to say? But tell us, who is Willow and what in the world made you decide to take a leap of faith and join us live on the internet in front of people to talk about monetizing sunshine?
Well, absolutely. So just a little bit about me. I moved from Maryland in 2013 out to the middle of nowhere in Tennessee to build an earthship, a house made out of tires. I was convinced that, living off grid and being away from the city is definitely the way to go. I am in a conventional house right now because plans and things change. But yeah, I started my sort of journey towards homesteading back in 2013. And what got me here tonight on this live stream was definitely the Self-Reliance Festival. I would say I was very motivated by Toolman Tim's presentation on escaping the poverty mindset. And I know I have things that are monetizable, I suppose, but the thing that I guess winds up being, consistently valuable is I just sort of bring sunshine. Like there's a variety of different things and skills that I have, like building websites and stuff like that. But the thing that I do that not as many people can do, and that seems to be magnetic, is I like to sort of highlight and bring the fun and the cheer and the good vibes. So yeah, that's why I'm here tonight.
So I feel your pain on monetizing sunshine. That is not my superpower, but I have an equally hard to define superpower in that I help people find their path. Mm-hmm. And monetizing, helping people finding their path is really hard because the people I can do the most good for are feeling a little spare in the pocketbook. Usually that's often at the base of the thing. And so getting somebody excited to pay for monetizing sunshine could be hard, but I don't think it's impossible. And I had you write out some questions before we started. I did that so I'd be able to ask you questions. And you had a couple ideas that I was like, man, if she starts here, the other thing she magically does that people are not sure how to like quantify and pay for will become part of that. So I think you're already going the right direction. So let's start with this. Give us like up to 5 minutes on what you mean by monetizing sunshine and what goals you have with that right now.
All right. So, I mean, I guess I'll start with goals are getting to financial freedom and I guess working myself out of a day job. I really want to be contributing in a more meaningful way. What I do right now is cool. And the part about it that I like the most is that I'm helping people take their message to a larger audience so that they can make the impact in the world that they want to be making, whether that's helping people get healthier or recovering from different things. I really like empowering people to pursue like their highest and best self. I love helping people grow. at the end of the day, I think I just want to help make the world a better place, in part because I want to leave a better world behind for my kids. There's like, a slight selfishness in that desire. If I can help people be their better selves, there's going to be better people out there in the world for my kids to be around. So yeah, I love providing value to people. And I want to do it in a way that, gets that financial freedom going on. But yeah, for me, the idea of making the world a better place and that rippling into a better future for my kids, that's what motivates me. So what is the sunshine and how do we monetize it? I guess in a nutshell, it's sort of this magnetic personality thing that I have going on at times. I do some quirky things like breathe fire and walk on stilts and hula hooping and all sorts of different stuff like that. And I don't know, whenever I get together with a group of people, it's like, and then how can we make this more fun? And I also like to work hard. So it's like, how do we accomplish things together? I just have an energy about me that I guess winds up being a little bit infectious. I think a good example is there had been a prepper that moved from Utah and he was trying to relocate his family to Tennessee, and he was needing to fix up a house that was a bit of a hoarder house. And so there was a lot of cleanup to be done. And no matter what aspect of it we were doing, I'm just there like, yes, we got this. We can do it. Like to a degree, I guess I'm a motivational cheerleadery type thing. But if someone has a goal, I want to help them reach it. And if there's anything that I can do, within reason to encourage someone to pursue that thing that's important to them, that ignites my fire. That really gets me going. I love help trying to bring out the best in other people, I suppose.
So what's important to you though?
What's important to me?
Yeah.
Financial freedom.
What do you mean by financial freedom? Is that like having enough ongoing revenue to live life? Is that $4.3 billion? Like, what does that look like to you? If you envision yourself having financial freedom right now, what does that look like?
Not being so restricted in monetary resources to do more of the homesteading goals that I have. So if I had more financial freedom, I would be able to finish the Earthship project that is set aside. If I had more financial freedom, I would be doing more farming. Definitely not in the millions of dollars. I think I had mathed it out a couple of years ago and like, man, if I could make just $100,000 a year, I could probably accomplish most of the things in my imagination that I want to get done, within reason. Being able to, hire people to do, run machines to do earthworks and put fencing on my property, very practical building homestead type funding things. There's only a few frivolous toys and such that I want. And I feel like most of them are tools. My personal Toys R Us is the tools section at Lowe's. Got to get all my good recommendations from Toolman Tim. But yeah, other than a tool shopping spree, just being able to fund a homestead because there's a lot of expenses that go along with that.
All right. Questions from anybody on the call besides me before I go to my next question?
I'm going to make a statement, maybe a little bit. Don't ever apologize for wanting to make money, because when you tell you're like, this is what I want to do. And I'm right excited and I want to do all these. And then you're like, and I also really like financial freedom, and it's okay. I tell my community all the time that helping people and making money are not mutually exclusive. And the more money you make, the more people you can help as well. So don't ever forget it. I just want you to know that. Don't ever apologize for making money. There'll be people who will look at you and shit on you and say, oh yeah, she's disingenuous because she wants to make money and help people. But don't worry about them. Don't even bother. Just, it's okay. Say it out loud, be unabashedly unapologetic, and say, yep, I'm going to help people and I'm going to make money.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Definitely need to hear that.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I had a quick question for Willow.
Yeah.
She mentioned her kids. How old are your kids? Because obviously there's some things that like your kids can be involved with depending on their age, but Are they like walking around age, or are they like toddler age?
2 and 5.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
And just going to run numbers. So you want $100,000 a year. That means you need to make, I'm just going to say 8,000 a month. If my math is right? 8 times 12, 96,000 approximately. It's 2,000 a week, but that's only $400 a day at 5 days a week. So start thinking about what you can do. I mean, when you figure $400, you know, that's 4 $100 jobs, or that's 2 $1,000 jobs a week, right? So the math isn't horrible. And it doesn't mean you have to be there today, but just put it into perspective. 100,000 sounds like a lot, but when you start thinking, what can I do to make $400 this day? That's all you need. $400 a day, 5 days a week, and you've got your 100 grand.
Shawn has joined us in pictures.
Oh, there he is.
Welcome to the picture, Shawn.
Thank you.
Yeah. He was having some technical difficulties. So we had green screen, and then we had logo, and now we get his actual face. Yeah. So the way Tim is talking about that is a great way to think about if you have a specific financial goal. Like the first thing I want to do is get to $100,000 a year. And I suspect when you get to $100,000 a year, you're going to be like, okay, I'm ready to get to $200,000 a year. You're going to see that's what happens. Having that daily goal is really helpful, because when somebody says, would you come spend a day at my homestead helping me plan out X with your sunshine? And how much will that be? And you say $50, you're not making your nut for the day.
Right.
And if it takes you 2 days to do 1 day on a homestead, then your answer is $800. It might be more than $800, might be the best answer, but that's where you start, because it takes you time to drive. It takes time to prepare at home, to be gone, like all of those things. And that can be hard for people to hear when they hear your rate, but it can be hard for you to say your rate confidently when you don't already have that number. So I like what you did there, Tim.
I just want to ask you, Willow, when Nicole said $400 a day to go work on somebody's homestead, how did that make you feel?
Only a tiny bit uncomfortable. That does feel like a lot to ask someone, but when you put it in perspective, I immediately started feeling like, okay, I gotta embrace that number, you know?
As soon as you said uncomfortable, I love how the dudes below me both smiled as well. Everybody's like, yeah, I get it, because that's the key, is getting comfortable with your uncomfortableness. And I'll stop trying to talk in cliches, but it's 100% true. It really is.
Yep. Okay, so let's get back to the monetizing sunshine thing, because something for a project accelerator that we want to go to is from big, amorphous, cloudy thing to let's talk tax, brass tacks, not tax like TAX, like TACKS, just for all the people I just triggered by saying that word who are listening right now. Okay. So you have had some ideas about how you can monetize sunshine. Can you list out some of the things you thought, I think I could actually charge money for this?
Yeah. So one of the things on my list was one-on-one coaching. I do have a health coaching certificate. I was talking about maybe doing like emceeing for events because of the sunshineness. Perhaps presenting the doom and gloom, some of the doom and gloom prepper news, but with more of a sunshiny cheer. Maybe I should be helping homeschool kids at my house because I'm already homeschooling my kids, or video interviews of some sort, just because I have a good positive vibe about me. Perhaps doing virtual, I guess like being a virtual postpartum buddy for first-time moms, because I know for me, when I had my first kid, it was like a cataclysmic, life-changing event. And when you go from being pregnant with your first baby to having that first baby, it's like, oh my gosh, shiny, they're pregnant. And then it's kind of like you get left at home with your baby. So I think that would be an area of opportunity. Making funeral memorial slideshow videos, either for people or for pets. This is something I've done in the past and made a little bit of money off of. Perhaps a palliative care pal, because I'm able to maintain positivity / like hold space for people who are approaching end of life. That's something I've had just a little bit of experience doing for people that I know before. And any kind of, I guess, summarizing or repackaging existing content with my sunshine spin added to it. Those are some of the ideas that I had.
I could actually, so out of all of those, and Robert, I see your question, and I will work it in. I have you starred. I could see any of those being something you can do. Out of all of those, which 3 get you most excited? And if you can see, I actually listed it on the screen so you can see it too.
Yeah. I think working with moms gets me excited because it helps with that ripple impact of making the world a better place. If I can help a mom move towards her better self, then she's able to be the best mom to her kids that she can, and they'll turn out better. So that gets me really excited.
You get 2 more dots.
2 more dots.
2 more dots.
I think trying to add sunshine spin on top of existing things. I guess partially because some of the work is already done for me. It's like if I don't have to generate entirely new content, if I can take something that's like, I don't know, I like to keep up on top of what's happening in the doom and gloom, but it can get a little doomy and gloomy at times. So
I feel like these 2 things are the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just put them on one line.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know. I like homeschooling my kids. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about homeschooling other people's kids. Okay, if I had to pick a third one, I don't know.
That one gets a minus because you just were like, I don't think I'd like doing that. I think that gets a minus, Willow. If your gut's like, meh, listen to the gut.
Fair enough. I think I lucked out with my kids. I guess the funeral memorial slideshows. That's probably like the next. I like doing simple video editing. It's cool to sort of, again, the people that I've done it for, I've known them slightly distantly. And so it's very interesting to get to reflect on the life of the person that's passed. This is not on the list of potential things, but I have made several caskets before. So I have some affinity towards the being involved in end of life stuff. I don't know that it's the most exciting thing. It's weird to be like, I'm excited about people dying and being there, but it's something that I have an innate ability to do.
Well, I can tell you, anytime that there's a death of a parent and there's competing siblings for who gets to do the stuff, the idea that you could outsource that to a third party with some general direction from everyone, and then no family member is responsible at that point, it takes some of that pressure off. And so I could see how you could market that service to people through funeral homes.
Yeah.
Yes.
With funeral homes.
My brain is just a spinning on this one now too, because I love service. Because in your notes you said you didn't really want to deal with a product based or having things that you had to like candy from freeze dryers and that sort of thing. So service based is great because it brings in money, but your only cost is your time, your investment. And I think about with my handyman type things where I tell people to go around to all of the realtors and introduce themselves. Well, like Shawn said, you could go to all of the funeral homes and do that. I love that idea where you would be taking care of, probably 80% of the funeral planning, or at least the multimedia style end of things for a funeral, where you're going to be the one asking for the stuff so that all the people have to do is give you something, as opposed to they don't have to think about, how am I going to build a PowerPoint presentation? How am I going to do this? Who am I going to reach out to? Their only thing they have to do, you're eliminating 80% of the decisions, which makes stress really shitty when things like that happen.
This is where we have a commitment coming in. I happen to know a funeral director who runs, I think, 3 funeral homes in our Upper Cumberland area. And you're near me-ish. So my commitment to you, so I'm going to put commitment from Nicole, is I will reach out to him to see if he would be willing to have you interview him about what he would look for, what he would advise if you want to start offering this service. I can't guarantee he would need the service, but I'm pretty sure he would give you time to talk about it, and then you could like figure out what package you can put together to reach funeral directors. And then that hopefully would open doors to other funeral directors.
All right. Yeah.
So your job with this is to make sure I do that. So I'm putting my name here. You're going to get these notes. So,
all right.
But we know how follow through I am right now. So use Telegram, text
Sounds
message,
good.
call me, whatever. Okay.
I can stack on top of that commitment. My sister is she's an assistant at a mortuary. It's in Las Vegas, but I would imagine that if you are doing photographs and slideshows for people, distance is probably relatively irrelevant. So I will get in contact with her and see if there is an email, a director she can maybe put you in touch with. If one more person to have this kind of discussion with about putting together packages and that sort of thing.
Awesome. Thank you.
And Willow, as a person who was in sales for a large portion of my life, let me just give you a little bit of advice. If you decide to go that route as you're putting things together, talk to more funeral directors than you could ever work with, because you'll pick up cues from them when you're talking about what you do. They'll start speaking in their internal language, right? And they'll start giving you some cues of, keywords or things that they're hearing from the people that they work with. And so even, if this is a direction that you decide to go in, you've got to get out in face to face and talk to the people until you've got a marketing message that really resonates. And then at that point, it could be where you're working with people in Vegas, where you're working with people in California, and maybe it's I fly out and I set 10 meetings up and I'm in and out in a day or two, and then that now I've got a year's worth of work in front of that. So but it is going to take some getting out and talking and getting the feedback. They'll tell you how to sell that service, because most likely you probably won't like bolt on with a funeral home. It'll be something you'll be direct marketing to the families. Now you may be able to put brochures or something in, or, and then once you get some business going, you might find some people that will refer you. Right. And then another thing I was thinking about earlier is, in addition to families, you also have the other end of the spectrum. You've got people who don't have any people, right? You've got people in like assisted living facilities, and their family are the other people that are there. And there's a lot of times when someone that's in one of those type of places passes, the other residents want to do something, but there's no system for that. They just like talk about the person at lunch. And so, as you're getting traction with this, that might be another thing where you put a program together to remember someone whose family isn't coming, to remember them amongst family and friends in something like a assisted living facility.
Okay.
I love
not thought of that. Cool.
I love that too. I think that'd be great. And I'm just going to tie on to what Shawn said about flying in. You could also book X amount of Zoom calls. So just start, scanning or scraping email addresses for funeral homes across the continent, right? And then just start sending out personalized, friendly emails saying, hey, I would love to pick your brain for 15 to 30 minutes, whatever you feel comfortable with. And that's another way to get in front of those people so that you can learn how to speak their language and put together, like Shawn said, a marketing plan that resonates with folks in that market.
Okay.
I'm killing all my OCD people with my on-screen typos. I know. I'm not actually watching what I type, so I'm like, oh. Yes, and if you're going to do that, a piece of technology that can help you on scheduling calls is I use Calendly.
Yes.
for 15 minutes for me as a business owner is a hot number. Like 15-minute call I can handle. If you're telling me it's going to be like I have people saying, let's get on the phone for an hour to talk about small issue. And I'm like, nope. But 15 minutes I can do.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. So Robert says, question for Willow. Does the idea of life coaching fit into spreading sunshine, which is what I do, which is not giving advice or mentoring, but asking motivating questions to get people to think?
Yeah, I would say so. I'm just not sure how to market myself as a life coach. I'm not sure how to convince anyone to pay me for that service. I'm young. It's not like I've got an extra few decades of life experience. But the health coaching course that I took, part of how that method works is getting the person to talk. Because a lot of times people like sort of know, and it's just about asking them the right questions to sort of bring it into their forefront. So yeah, I would say that fits.
I love the idea of a remote or in-person health coach. I was at a wing joint here maybe about a year ago, and the young lady who waited on me said she was getting ready to quit that job because she had basically turned into a Zoom health coach, and she was making almost six figures. She was maybe 23, 24 at the time. And she would discuss with people their pain points, like, why are you failing at this? Or why aren't you healthy? Or why, that sort of thing. And then she would put together an eating plan and an exercise plan, that sort of thing. And that's one of those markets that you can sell to. I mean, nothing's easy, but one of those warmed up markets to begin with, because you're going to find a lot of people who are like, I need to improve my health. I need to lose weight. I need to eat better. I need to exercise. And if you have a sunshiny personality, you can tell people to do awful things with a smile on your face and they'll listen to you.
So one of my favorite things that happened at SRF is somebody posed a question about what would happen if I think it was the monetary system crash or something. And you gave an answer where you thought you were like, gloom, doom, 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 gloom, doom, doom. And you smiled and everybody laughed. And it was like so cheerful. So I don't know. That was one of my favorite moments. One of my favorite Willow moments at SRF. So
you not to jump over it, but you could tie that remote health coach into postpartum as well, because the whole idea of depression, one good cure, not cure, but a good treatment for that is exercise and eating better. So you could tie all of that in together. And if you're passionate about helping new moms, this would be a way that you could wrap it all up into a nice, neat bundle.
How do you spell postpartum?
You're close.
Is
it
close.
UM? UM? Yeah.
Thank you. That's like driving me crazy. Okay.
Pardon.
So
well, the other nice thing about go ahead.
So what I was going to say is let's go into the idea of virtual postpartum partnering, because that was the first thing Willow said she liked, which tells me if I had given her only one dot, that would be the dot. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So the great thing about postpartum versus funeral is that that's something people can do multiple times, whereas the funeral thing is a one and done type of deal. So I typed in the chat there, SaaS, Sunshine as a Service. And so, but I think, that's one that's probably a little trickier to navigate. Like, how do you get into those? Because, of course, I've never given birth, but I do have multiple brothers and also children. And so the idea is that a lot of times, and I will say that there's a bigger focus now on personal mental health, but a lot of times it's almost like people are afraid to even acknowledge that that's something that can be a problem. And so, that's one where I think there's a significant market for it. Obviously it's a big problem, and someone with a cheery disposition is realistically like the right thing to help someone get through postpartum depression. And I've heard of people going through postpartum depression for like 3 or 4 years. And so, not to turn that into an opportunity, but that's what we're talking about here. So, you could get a customer and you could end up working with that customer for several years across multiple children. And so I like the idea of that being a more of a growth market, but
it's a continuing source of revenue, ongoing.
Yeah. And then of course that can turn into other things too. Like, okay, so we start working together as your postpartum coach. So like we start maybe well before the baby actually comes, right? Getting ready. And then there's a period after the birth where there's a job for you to do. And then that could potentially turn into, well, hey, I'm not dealing with the postpartum stuff anymore, but I want to keep working with you. So let's figure out other ways to work together. And so I really like that idea. Have you thought any about like, how would you actually get your name in front of people and start marketing that service?
Honestly, no, not really. I just sort of lean on that I have the experience of birthing 2 kids as a way to like communicating my story. I'm particularly fanatical that birth does not have to be a torturous experience. I had both of my kids natural without painkillers or anything, and it is phenomenal. I'm not great at being pregnant, but I'm great at pushing out babies, apparently. And I love encouraging people that birth is not something to be afraid of, because I don't know, a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to hurt. And yeah, there is some pain, but there's a lot more going on than that.
Yeah.
Throw another idea. Oh, sorry, I'll go quick. Flat monthly rate. Shawn talked about before and after. So you could tie it into, hey, here is a prepartum and postpartum counseling, coaching, life. Because one thing, when you were asked the question about, have you ever considered life coaching? Again, you're like, well, I don't really have any experience. Well, darling, you've pushed 2 babies out. You got all kinds of experience to talk with. You just need to find the right people that you have the experience to connect with. And for you, that's, pregnant or soon to be pregnant women. So you could start, before birth and work your way through at a flat monthly rate. And then that helps you figure out, okay, how many flat monthly rates do I need to make my $8,000 a month to make $100,000 a year?
Okay. I like that. While I have never gone deep down the path of how would I be a life coach, when I was trying to be a health coach, I did try, like my thought was a steer is like your number one prep is your health. So that was kind of, I don't know, I just wanted to throw that in there.
I cut Kerry off too.
In terms of finding women to talk to who are, planning to become pregnant in the midst of, preparing to give birth, look for groups on the Facebook, but hey, it's still there. It's still a resource. Look for groups that are titled things like Pharma Free, or there's one for the Knoxville area called Pharma Free and Crunchy. These are kind of keywords for groups. If you've not run into that before, I'm in that group and it is 90% women, because it's mostly women who are at home and they're trying to take better care of their families. And there are questions all the time about, preparing for their first birth. There's a lot of like assisted home birth or birth centers a thing now, and there's more women who don't want to do it at the hospitals. So keep an eye out for that kind of keyword searching.
I know there's somebody in our network who I'm pretty sure she became a doula, and I can't remember who it is. I'm hoping Tori, the mom, is still on, because I think Tori was involved with the mastermind group we did where there was the doula. And I feel like you should be talking to doulas, and maybe you become one.
I helped someone have a baby one time, and that was hard. We did it, but
yeah,
definitely. I feel like I was entertaining the idea beforehand of like, oh, maybe I should become a doula. And then getting through the birth at the hospital with her, it was like, I'll just coach the parts around that.
Well, but it wouldn't hurt to talk to doulas.
Right.
Right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Because doulas typically, like, I don't believe they have, like, some offer like a short postpartum care type of thing afterwards. But nothing, I don't think that would be like, coaching for a few months, checking in.
Yeah.
You're doing for a while. So I do think that there is a niche in between, what a doula does and what I could offer.
Yes.
You just going to throw this out there. Sometimes when you start, we have to do some aspects of it that we don't love to kind of get our foot in the door. So what I'm kind of getting at is, I think the idea of a doula and a birth coach might be a really, really good way to get your foot in the door and then allow you to expand your services to, hey, you know what? This is what makes me different. I do pre and post birth counseling for as long as you need. Or just I knew a lady who was a joy coach, and she would just talk and, she would just listen and hopefully inspire you to be a little more joyful. So that's an idea too. But I think I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I really think the doula / birth coach thing might be a good way to at least get your foot in the door to start. Because the cool thing is you're going to be doing what you love for, let's just call it 12 months, like 3 months before, 9 months after, for a little bit of, maybe a day or two of kind of crappy work in the middle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
On the other side, there is, one of the great things about all the opportunity that exists now is there's communities all over, right? So you could go into, a midwife community online, or doula community online, or a postpartum mom support Facebook group online, and you go in, you add value, you ask questions, and then you, again, kind of like we were talking about with the funeral home thing, you find out what resonates, you find out how to sell the service, you find out what things are valued by people who are willing to pay. Because that's the other thing is, we're talking about this from a financial freedom standpoint. So if the only people that are interested in talking about it in the communities that you're working with are people that aren't willing to pay, then those aren't the right communities that you want to be talking to. They're great for getting an understanding of how to market the service, but you've got to go find those places. And just like any other good service that you provide, it success breeds success. So you've got to go get the first customer, the first client, and then you get the second client. And then the next thing you know, those two people are telling their 5 pregnant friends about your services and how they couldn't have done it without you. And then they're getting ready to have another kid, and then they're rehiring you. And so it becomes a snowball, which, that's where you start looking at maybe $400 a day isn't the right number. Maybe now it's $800 a day. You're not going to start off there, but you gotta get into those communities and find out how to market those services, start getting some customers, and then, if you're doing a good job, word of mouth will take over from there.
And, it doesn't. Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This comment's interesting from 30 Day Reviews. Don't forget, female isn't the only one that deals with postpartum and the hormone changes. Don't forget about the male. Another service you could provide is coaching of the dads.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but it's true.
You could offer joint counseling where you chat with the husband and wife together as well. That would be, I like it.
Yeah, we did. We got the person's name, and who, I don't know if she's still around the edges here, but there was somebody in our network who became a doula who, if we can find her, you should talk to her. Because I feel like doulas also might be like, it'd be great if I could refer people to somebody who's there, because I like to be here for the birth. I like to be here for this, and I don't want to do, it's too tedious to do all this follow-up over time, Yeah,
there'll be some that you're going to be their competitor and they won't want to work with you. And then there's others that are going to be like, yes, finally, I've been looking for someone like you for the last 6 months.
Yep.
All right.
So what would your next steps be, do you think, on doing, going down the postpartum road?
Talking to doulas, similar to how we talked about talking to funeral directors, is getting in touch with some midwives and some doulas about, figuring out where their services end and where mine could pick up. Because ideally, I would want to be in a position where they want to refer me to their clients. I do think doing some research on the Facebook about what people are currently doing, and finding out what people are currently paying for, I suppose, and figuring out where I fit in that. Because I have heard of, for the people that really are rolling in the dough, like hiring someone to come and stay in the house with you, or to come and stop by the house and cook you meals and change the baby's diaper and give the baby baths and things like that. And so that's clearly not what I'm going to be doing. But how can I provide the emotional side of that from virtual? I think talking to midwives and doulas is the next stage of research on that one.
Those folks, though, who would pay for having somebody come and live with them are probably the ones you want to get hooked up with and have them as your customer.
But if they want someone to stay in the house, I'm a virtual limitation.
Even still, but those are the type of, I don't mean you don't want to go live with them, but the people who have that kind of disposable income, those are the ones you're looking for, because they're going to be the ones who are going to be willing to, $400 a month for 4 Zoom sessions, where it's nothing to that. You know what I mean? Or 800, doesn't matter. It's nothing to them, right? Compared to
that's an excellent point that Tim makes. Is they may have a great idea of what they want, but they may not have found that yet. And so that doesn't mean that you can't provide that, help them, and get paid for your time remotely until they find what they really are looking for. And maybe they decide, hey, you know what? This is great. Like, this is actually perfect. And I'll hire a chef to come cook for me and the baby, but you're actually the person that I want to talk to when I have a problem or I have a question or I just need some more sunshine in my life. So when you talk to someone like, well, we want someone that's going to do like, don't give up on that, keep working that angle.
Okay.
Well, and I know somebody who managed to get paid to be a virtual friend, and that's Jenny. For a while, like, she was being a virtual paid friend to people. So if she can do that, you can do this, right?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of the same thing, but focused on a very specific situation. And it seems like everybody I see who gives birth goes through this thing for 6 months afterwards where they're like, I don't feel confident about myself. I'm not sure I'm a good mom. I feel sad and I don't know why. Sometimes I'm mad at my child. Like, they go through all of those things. And I don't know if it's always happened and we didn't notice it in society because we didn't have social media, or if it's more of we're just more in touch with that now. And Tori, I feel like you should be giving a commitment here, but my passive aggressive comment didn't work yet. So I'm just saying.
I'm going to throw to social media, either by finding people on TikTok or Instagram that are doing what you want to do, but also, if you're up for it, start dipping your toe into that sort of thing as well, because that's a really good way to position yourself as an expert in the field. So you can, the more you do it, all of us are doing that, right? The more you do something, the more you share, the more people learn from you. It's reciprocal. And it isn't, it's not going to happen overnight. It's another one of those things where it takes a long time to keep building, but each time you do it is another step in the right direction.
Okay, I think we have a commitment from Tori to introduce you to her hippie friend, who is both a death doula and a birth doula. Oh, and she's going to hook you up with Summer too, if she can. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm just saying hippie friend because that's how she was described. Okay. And I'm even going to spell commitment right after the fact. Her friend has a name. It's Jen. Okay. What else? So, Tim, I think I like that. So here we are. Willow is starting on a journey. What better time to start sharing your story than right now?
Yep.
In the way that you want to on social media. So don't do what any of us do per se, but be like, this is how I like to communicate. Is it making a video once a week that's 30 seconds long? That's just a a vlog? Is it writing something out? Is it doing a piece of art? I know that you like to do art. So, and writing a little bit about that, like what ways would you want to communicate this journey as you go? Because you're at the beginning and right now is the most exciting time to watch.
Yeah.
It's when you get the most legs, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Probably video. I think me on video is kind of engaging. Takes me a while to pull together words, although I can pull together beautiful words and write great things. Ease and impact, I think that cross section is video content.
And what age are you targeting with this? Would you think?
I suppose, women under 35? Is that too broad of a...
Probably 21 to 35, you think is mostly? What do you guys... I don't know.
Yeah.
I would find out when the most births are happening, age-wise, because that has shifted up from when I was younger. And keep that age in mind and then ask yourself, where do I find people that age on social media? Do I find them on TikTok? Do I find them on Instagram? Do I find them on Facebook? You know, like where is this niche out of curiosity?
Threads.
Huh?
Threads.
OnlyFans. No.
The median childbearing age now is 27 to 30.
Okay.
And the cool thing,
so where are the 27 to 30s?
Instagram, TikTok.
So you're looking at Instagram and TikTok as your top two. Verify all of this.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm just
yeah.
Snapchat, but I still don't know how you even. I'm not even. Yeah, I can't even figure that whole thing out. But I know that kids younger than me.
Okay. Any more on the doula stuff, guys? I'm calling it doula stuff, even though it has nothing to do with doula, except for it's sort of.
You know, I would, if you're not getting much traction on the doula midwifery side, I would go talk to some OBGYNs also. You know, like obviously they have the clientele, right? Now they're going to be more like in the system, but you might run across some that are more open-minded or just say, hey, yeah, the system's not set up to help these mothers after they give birth. And so, yes, give me business cards and I'll hand them to every one of my clients, you know? So you might get lucky there. One of the things when you're starting a business is, you know, you're not going to catch the whale right away. You might. So keep an eye out for the whale. But you know, you got to catch the bait fish, and then you use the bait fish to catch the larger fish, and so on and so forth. And so, you know, using the fishing analogy, you're casting a wide net early, and then later, once people are seeking you out, you know, now you've got the big hook with a shark on it to go catch the killer whale, right? And so early, you want to look all over. You want to look everywhere you can. And know that a lot of times you're going to cast that net and pull it back in and nothing's going to be in it. So that's fine. You learn from that as well.
I'm going to top that off too, because that is exactly how any service-based business that you want. Like Shawn said, cast a wide net. So you're going to try many different avenues. You're going to try a whole bunch of different things on social media. You're going to try reaching out to as many people from a disparate kind of group and mindset as you can. And then each time you find one that works a little bit better, you're going to focus a little more there, and you're going to focus not at all on the other stuff. And each time you find something that's working a little more, you're going to focus just a little more on that. And so, you know, each time you find something that doesn't work, it's not a mistake. It's not a failure. It's just one more option you've eliminated. And the more you do it over time, the better your focus will get. And it'll come quicker. Like Shawn said, you'll have the big bait at that time where you can reel it in.
Something I just thought of that you can do in person is start hosting meetups locally where it's just like, hey, have you just given birth? Want to share your story? Let's do a meetup here, and we'll have, you know, whatever. Find a place where babies can come with mom, and people can just get together and tell their story. to start, developing those relationships. It may or may not turn into business right away, but I think seeing, like, getting that buzz going can be really, really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea.
Yeah, you could almost start a $5 donation sort of meetup thing, and it's at a community center near you. And then, yeah, people could actually hire you to be their coach after the fact, or they can refer you to their friends and say, boy, I wish I would have known this existed, or whatever that is.
Okay.
Because there's something about that in-person thing with this one that I think is, like, even though you want to do it virtually, I think you're going to be bridging the in-person there a little bit. Okay, how much time did we say we were going to be on today? Or we didn't?
I'm not sure we did.
Yeah. I'm good for a bit yet.
Are you guys good? Kerry, you good?
I'm not too cold yet. I'm good.
Okay, we have one more idea to go over. So this idea is repackaging existing content with a sunshine spin. And now for something completely different. Tell us, what do you mean by that, Willow?
So I listen to a lot of like prepper news on the YouTube, like Canadian prepper, pretty hard, doom and gloomy. But just a lot of it is like straight to the point. Guys, the world is on fire. They do have like, hopeful nuggets in there, but I feel like I add a whole layer of like you were saying, I can smile where it's like, yes, everything's going downhill on fire, but wait, look outside your window. The sun came up today. Everything's going to be okay. I guess representing existing people's presentations on what's happening in the world with more emphasis on gratitude, what is in your circle of control and circle of influence, and bringing it with a lot of sunshiny smile and high vibe and energy.
Okay. Almost sounds like Baseline with Xavier Hawk.
Yeah.
That's a void that needs to be refilled.
It is a void that people loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of sunshiny news. I think I've seen it attempted by a couple of people in our community over the years, and they just lose steam with it, right? So here's something. I feel like I'm on Shark Tank, but no. Here's a an offer for you, maybe. I don't know how we'll put it, but I've started doing a show. My Thursday show has been This Week in Prepping, and I do a section called Stranger Than Fiction, where I cover maybe 3 or 4 news segments that are kind of prepper related. And for me, I really do try to not be doom and gloom, but I'd be willing to let you say record a 3 to 5 minute segment once a week, let's say for 3 months to try it. And we could call it like a dose of sunshine or a ray of sunshine or something. And you could pick one news story that pertains to prepping, and I could play it on the show once a week for, we'll give it, 3 months to try it out. If you're interested, doesn't mean you have to, but if you want to grab it and go with it, I think it would be fun. You could be like I'm trying to think of it, Kerry, but you remember when
news anchor.
Yeah, you know how the remote, they would always, like, I know Art Bell used to have people who would call in, and they would do things, but I would be, you wouldn't have to do it live. You could pre-record it and I could just play it, but I'd be down with that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that sounds great. I think it's a good way to test out if there's any reception for it as well, like with your existing audience, see how people feel about it.
But you could also take that, sorry, Nicole, you could also
say what you're going to say.
Repackage it on social media and share it. Yeah, there you go. See, we're all in the same boat here. So
all right.
Yeah. So you would want to make that your own show too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Even if it's 3 minutes once a week, people will just look forward to that. This is one where I don't see the monetization out of the shoot.
Right.
But what I do see is creative projects like this can set a foundation to build your immediate community. So I kind of see this as a build community thing that can then be the people who are part of your support network. Because like I know my stability financially is 100% dependent on the community that is around me now. And that happened because I did a podcast that I don't charge money for.
Yep.
So it also, like, this one seems like your fun idea.
Yeah, I suppose. I guess I'm trying to, like, how do I make the time that I spend consuming all of this news slightly more productive in some other way?
Consume it live and react live and film it and then just post it.
So Mystery Science Theater for gloom and doom.
Oh, I love Mystery Science Theater. Yes. But yeah, you totally. I mean, there's so much you could do, but for me, what I do is, because, 2-3 times a day I open up Google News and scroll through it. And if there's an article that catches my, like, I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. There was an article today about building semi-fireproof homes and creating these, kind of buffer zones around them to make them more fire resistant. Just something like that. When it's interesting, I just copy and paste it into a notepad, and I don't think about it anymore until I'm ready to do show prep. So, if you're already consuming the news, or you're like, damn, that's a real drag, I could put a sunny spin on that, or I could, think about that one and just start dumping it into a notepad. And then once a week, you could, like I said, you could do, daily dose or weekly dose of sunshine and kind of bring it around. But the key is to build a community around it. That's what I did. That's what Shawn's doing. That's what Nicole did. It really works, because when you help people and offer something, this is the funny thing, because I say it's okay to want to make money, but you also have to offer way more value upfront for free that people are willing to reward you for in the long run.
Okay. Freedom Media Corporation says you could offer affiliate products or services related to content. Absolutely true. That is something that requires consistency to build in, I think, for that to work well. But, like, I am very thankful to my community for using my Harvest Right link this month. It, like, literally paid for my front door that it has to be replaced. So, nice. That's and that doesn't cost them anything to use your affiliate links, but it can be a huge benefit.
Okay.
So don't discount, like, you'll know when it's time, but don't discount affiliate opportunities.
I'm also going to go direct to the person that is like your affiliate relationships. Try to make them with the company, not through a third party affiliate aggregator or like Amazon or something like that. Like if it's something that you're using that you talk about and that people might be interested in going and buying because they trust you, and you've built that trust, try to get it directly from the manufacturer, like Harvest Right, for example.
Yeah, and also don't ever do it with stuff you don't like.
Yeah. Or
what'll happen when you build a following is everybody wants you to sell their thing for an affiliate fee, and it's like, well, if I don't know what your widget is or how it works, or if I believe in it, then meh.
I'm going to take your words and throw them back at you here, Willow, just so you know. But in question 4, it says, what are the things you're really great at? And you said persevering once I've sunk my teeth into a thing. It takes a lot to get me to give up. So I'm going to challenge you that if you decide to do this news thing, you really need to commit to it for a full year with the hope that something will come from it. And also commit that you're going to get 1% better. So you're always going to improve one thing every time. So the way you start is by figuring out how much time you can commit to it once a week, whether it's 15 minutes or an hour. And then that becomes non-negotiable. You work around that, and then you commit for the entire year. And you probably won't make a penny off it for the first year. You might make $5, you might make 10,000. But if you commit to it for a year, you'll get into it and you'll be like, oh, okay. Because I'm just telling you up front that there's a really good chance that you're going to have to do it a lot longer than you think you will. But when you do it that long, the payoff's way better.
Okay. That sounds good.
Just think of it as a kind of investment. You're investing that time up front, and you are generating, by doing that, you are generating so much momentum behind you.
Yep. And, 4 months down the road, when the video you just put out, you thought, man, this is awesome. Everybody's going to love this. And you get one view. That's the day you need to remember, oh yeah, when I sink my teeth into something, I'm going to keep going. because that's the day you're going to be like, "Ah, I could be doing so much more or doing something different," because you're going to have those days where it's just going to kick you in the ass and you're like, "Ah, you know what? Why am I doing this?" But you got to remember, you're doing it for the people that are coming down the road, not for today.
Okay. I feel you.
30-day reviews has it perfect there. He says, YouTube's a marathon, not a sprint. Yes, 100%. Content creation in general. It is. Yeah. It takes, you gotta think of it in years, not in days, months, or weeks, for sure.
So the funny part is you're like, this one's going to hit, and it doesn't. And then some random thing you just put no time into gets tens of thousands of views, and you're like, why? Why did that just happen? But it's like you hit a chord. You don't know why. All right.
But
Jules says investing in yourself is the most rewarding investment you can ever make.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when you do have one of those things, like Nicole says, that hits and you're not sure, you're like, man, I didn't think that would be good. Look at it and pay a lot of attention to that and think, why did it hit? And then do it again. Like, really, I mean, that is the key to making good content and getting people to like what you do, is go back and do more of the same. And it might seem repetitive and weird or disingenuous, but it's not. You're putting out the things that your audience wants to hear, your community wants to hear. So keep doing more of the things that work.
Okay.
So any other commitments that anybody wants to throw out before we wrap up to Willow?
I don't have a commitment, but I had one other thing I wanted to mention with something that wasn't one of the top threes, and that was the palliative care. I think that's another one that if you're talking to, assisted living places or even funeral directors, that's something I think you should talk about as well. Because it's if that's something that you can handle doing, I mean, that's a big deal, but it's something that most people are going to need. Right. And so now that we're in an environment, where people are more comfortable as a society talking about mental health and talking about the things that they want to do to be happy and to try to be happier, that they can't do it on their own and stuff like that. That's a big one. That's a huge one. And so that's another one where I see you get a couple, make sure that that's something that you want to do, but you do a good job at it, and it's word of mouth from there.
Okay.
Any other comments from the peanut gallery?
I would say whatever you do, get testimonials or whatever when you're done, follow up. If it's palliative, it could be tricky, but a month, 2-3 months down the road, when you think there's been enough time where you can chat with somebody who's gone through something like that, just be like, hey, and you'll figure out the way to do it, because, you're not a dick. So, reach out to the people and say, would you mind giving me a 30-second blurb, or, did this work, or what? You'll figure out the system. But in other words, have a follow-up system with whatever service you provide, so that you can turn those sound bites, testimonials, whatever you want to call them, into promotional material for you. Because like Shawn said, you got to get the first one. And once you get the first one, each one will come a little easier, especially when you have that little bit of experience to fall back on.
Right. Social proof is huge. When you're selling to people, a service to a person, social proof is huge.
Yep. And it gives you the story to tell. And to the extent that any of these things can turn into photographs or stories that you can tell, that also helps you get the next one. You just have to, for some of these, you're going to do it in a way that's not necessarily highlighting Fred or whatever. I just made up the name Fred, because Fred is a good, strong, motherly name.
One more thing I'll throw out is branding. I know Nicole's been going through that a little bit too, but the best time to figure out your branding is before you start, because you can look and say, okay, so this name is available on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. It doesn't seem like it's important when you start, but I promise you it is. Just, and it doesn't mean you have to stick with it, but if you start and look for something that you can have consistently across all platforms, you'll be a lot happier for it. You won't be fighting or thinking, how am I even going to get a hold of this guy that owns toolmantim.com? And how am I going to, I can't even probably afford what he wants for the, you know what I mean? So just think about that stuff before you start.
I'm just writing my commitment down. I will give you the Sue Zoldak branding webinar if you reach out to me that we recorded with her. That just sort of breaks it down in a step-by-step what you need to do so that you do not let developing your brand stop you from starting.
Okay.
Because it's very easy to get stuck over there and not just start talking to funeral directors.
Yep.
Or I don't know why that one popped out, but you know what I mean. So, yeah.
Okay.
No toolbar fallacy on the brand. Okay. Next steps. What do you see as your next steps, Willow?
I'm going to go over all these notes and follow up with the commitments. I'm going to take a stab at recording some 3 to 5 minute segments on the new stuff. And I'm going to make a list of 3 to 5 people and schedule some phone calls. Probably I will explore both the doula and the funeral director route and sort of see how those first couple conversations, what sort of direction that leads me in.
And don't let that hamper you either. I mean, you can go all 3 routes for the next while. Some people say don't focus on multiple things, but you can try, and just because early on you're just learning all of them, right? So when you'll figure out the one that's going to work for you, and it may take a week, it may take 6 months, but you will. And the more you go after each one, you'll be like, I really like this one, or this one really feels like, I connect with the funeral directors or the OBGYNs, whatever it happens to be. And when you put in the work, the solutions will find you.
Yeah, right. And I can 100% agree with Tim. Like, a lot of people will tell you only do one thing, and that is great advice. I am telling you that it's great advice as a person who has never followed it.
Right.
So it's also true that sometimes you do need to find your happiest spot, you need to try multiple things. And that's not the end of the world if you do it. I often look at people like Shawn and Kerry who are like, this is what I'm going to do. And they do that all the time. I'm like, what would that be like?
Yeah, I know.
What would that be like? Like, what would it be like to be John Willis running my factory? But he actually has a whole media company basically that he runs for content at this point too. But what would that be like? But at the same time, I would not be here had I not tried 16 things my first year.
Right.
So who knew it was going to be coffee?
Yeah, you may love raising chickens, but if you can't find enough people to buy eggs at a high enough profit to make it worth it for you monetarily, you got to pivot off of that. And you won't find out where when I was in corporate America, we had a saying, is the juice worth the squeeze? Okay. And so once you find out what it really takes to get a job and do a job and what you can charge for that, that'll also, kind of guide you. And you won't know unless you've got, several, going back to the fishing metaphor. I'm not even a really big fisherman, so I don't know why I keep doing this, but you want to have a lot of lines in the water.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Jules is putting my 3 things book in my face right now. In your face, Nicole. Hey, she only has 3 projects officially on her list. I did keep it to the magic number of 3, Jules.
After that consistency over a full year will come back, just like Shawn said. And I'm going to repeat but it's true that in order to figure out whether the juice is worth the squeeze or not, you have to go through that year or 2 years of trying and being like, I'm not finding the success yet. And you just have to, you do. and just commit to it. Just commit that you're going to keep doing it, because you'll find the things that kind of where the happiness and the money come together. Because like Shawn said, you might love chickens, but if you can't make money at it.
Yeah. And it's funny. I think about Kerry's story too, where he started out more of doing small permaculture projects and like installs. And he has started, I don't know if this is with intention, but he has started becoming like the wild plant guy.
Right.
And I don't know, Kerry, if that's where you're going. You can tell us if that's where you're going.
I'm fully embracing it because I love it and people want it.
But 2 years ago, did you think you were going to be a wild plant guy?
Not really. Not except somebody kept asking me to lead wild plant walks at their workshops. So,
Yeah.
But
so
it jumps out at you sometimes, this kind of thing.
So you could go down all three of these paths, and you may have a fourth path that emerges from that. And like keeping your heart open to that, I think is important when you're building a passion-based lifestyle business.
All right.
I mean, I went from raking leaves and picking up dog poop to looking after 26 properties for property management. And it was a whole lot of this the whole way there. Each time I found something I liked doing a little better that paid a little better, I would do more of that and less or none of the things that happened, So that's where it starts. And that's the cool thing. Like you can start out, I mean, Kerry was a little more even into landscaping and handyman stuff as well. But where you start and where you end up, you're not going to know. But the only thing you can commit to is long-term doing it every single day, and the rest will kind of take care of itself.
Okay, so let's schedule a follow-up meeting. I propose April 30th. What do you guys think? In person at my house.
Sure.
Rock and roll.
Will you all be here?
Yeah, I'm going to be. Yeah. I'm south.
That's my spring workshop, Willow.
I was going to say there's probably a workshop or some sort of festival happening around then.
Are you down for that? I think we could turn this into a follow-up session and see how she's done in the first 4 months. Like, see where she's at.
Yeah.
No pressure, though.
No, it's good. I like that little bit of pressure. I got to show up with something.
Okay. Let's do it.
Bring the receipts.
Okay.
That's very true. And we're going to hold you to it. That's what real friends do. I discovered that after a while. I didn't have those real friends in my life till I met all of these yahoos and a few others, and realized that real friends bust your balls and ask you the hard questions because we care about you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. I love some true accountability. I'm here for it 100%. So
awesome. Well, guys, I think we've come sort of up to the end of this. Let's wrap up for the night. Willow, thank you for being a good sport and letting us do this virtually for the first time. I think it went well. Would love everybody's feedback who was on the live stream. Like, shoot me an email, Nicole@livingfreeintennessee.com. Let me know what you thought of these. Do you want to see more of these? Do we want to do more of these? I know that there are so many people in the network who want to change something. And it takes some bravery to be willing to just put it out there like you did, Willow. So thank you for all the preparation you did. I know you worked hard on writing your document up. That was invaluable for this to keep us focused. And Tim and Kerry and Shawn, thanks for making time on a Sunday evening to do this. I know it's a busy world, but your feedback has been invaluable.
Yes, thank you everyone so much. I really, really appreciate this. I really, really do.
All right.
Absolutely.
See you soon.
April can't get here fast enough.
That's right. April.